everyone, and thanks very much indeed for having me today. I've had a fascinating time over the past, couple of months looking into the grain markets, but it's intimidating here being in this room because everyone here knows more about wheat, soybeans and corn than I'll ever know, so I'll have to accept that. So all I can really give you is the perspective from the financial market point of view, a bit of economic perspective, and stuff we're hearing, not so much from the farmers, the producers, and we should hear more from you. And I'm meeting a lot of interesting guys here I'm thinking would be great guests on BNN, but from really financial market players. So let's just talk. I mean, a lot of this stuff you will have heard before, but in some ways, if I can express how, for the rest of us who aren't involved in grains every day, the current situation is pretty amazing. We're learning a lot more about the world food balance. So exceptional enough for you, there is the projected US corn yield. And now this is from the last USDA update. And obviously, a lot of you know that you could continue that line down. It looks like the yields in the States, something like 20% of their crop now, I believe, in corn is in good condition. So it's certainly pretty exceptional this year. There was talk it would be the worst year since 1988. Now people are saying the US corn crop could have the worst year since the mid-50s. And of course, the irony here is that America planted this year the biggest crop since the Second World War. So they were trying to cash in on the high corn prices. So let's have a look at what's been happening with the drought. And I'm sorry, I'll just try and move this one forward. There we go. So from your point of view, obviously, you have a massive opportunity here to feed a hungry and hotter world. Now, without getting into what's causing global warming, there doesn't seem to be much doubt that it's happening. But interestingly, from projections from people like the UN, the OECD, it's not a given that you're going to be looking at high cereal prices. You do have an expanding market. You know that a lot of the world's big grain-producing areas, I'm thinking particularly South Asia, northern India, Pakistan, and Australia, they have a crisis on their hands in terms of water. If you can see that map there, the red and the brown areas are what the US weather people call extreme and exceptional. So we're into the worst drought in half a century. So some of this stuff you will know, but I was interested to find this stuff out. What is Ontario growing right now? Where does the money come into Ontario agriculture? You can see that dairy products are the big earner, almost $2 billion. It will be interesting to see what Stephen Harper does about the supply management boards, but we won't get political here. And you can see soybeans, though, are huge. Last year, $1 billion worth of soybeans, farmer seeds. Corn, even more, $1.4 billion. I was fascinated to see vegetables, very, very big, $1.3 billion, because, of course, you're blessed here. You're pretty close to the big centres of production. And then cattle, just cattle alone, another $1 billion. Dry beans, well, of course, that's huge out west. And poultry not as big here as it might be somewhere like Manitoba. So obviously soybeans, corn. And I was very interested to see that these figures are from the federal government, that wheat was so low. I didn't know that wheat relatively was so low in the province. And this is just the amount of acreage devoted. Hay, again, obviously part of the dairy industry. And then soybeans, hectares, and grain corn, each about 1 million each. Winter wheat, huge. And then canola, very small because it just gets too hot here for canola. Obviously, it's Canada's biggest crop export now, canola. There's been such a massive growth in that commodity out west. So I've been learning a lot, but as you know, soybeans and corn are pretty well the centre of the arable farming right now in Ontario. So let's have a quick look as well. This is more social, obviously. But it's a little hard to read there, but the radical increase in the size of farms here. You can see that as recently as the mid-90s, there were almost 70,000 farms in Ontario, and that has now dropped to little more than 50,000. So, I mean, that's a worldwide phenomenon. Britain led the way. Large parts of Britain have been turned almost into the prairies with their subsidised wheat farmers. Germany, France have held back. They're catching up. But worldwide, your industry is so capital intensive, it looks as though your farms are just going to go on getting bigger and bigger.